Update: my husband drove me to a nearby waterfall and pushed me in, saying, "Finally, I'm free after a year of imprisonment." Thinking I couldn't swim, and he left. When he came back from work, he found everything gone. There was only a box on the table, and when he opened it, he fainted. Part 2. Adam had wanted to destroy me, but he had failed, and now it was my turn to play. The journey to Moors seemed endless. Each bump in the road painfully reminded me of my fall in the Harrison waterfalls. But more than the physical pain, it was Adam's betrayal that burned me from the inside. How could the man I had loved, the one to whom I had entrusted my life, do this to me? Sitting on a bench in front of the café where Jean-Pierre had dropped me off, I waited impatiently for Clara. The sun was beginning to set, tinting the sky with shades of orange. Passers-by gave me curious looks, no doubt intrigued by my disheveled appearance and my still damp clothes. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, I saw Clara's little red Clio park in front of the café. My friend rushed out, her eyes scanning the street for me. When she saw me, her face fell. "Hannah, my God, what happened?" she exclaimed, running towards me. I stood up painfully to greet her, gasping from the pain. Clara gently took me in her arms, careful not to hurt me further. "It's a long story," I murmured. "Can we go somewhere to talk?" Clara nodded. "I've booked a room in a small hotel not far from here. We'll be peaceful there." The journey to the hotel was made in heavy silence. I could feel Clara's worried gaze on me, but she respected my need for calm. Once in the room, I sat on the bed, exhausted. Clara took a seat next to me, waiting patiently until I was ready to speak. I took a deep breath and began to tell. The words came out like a torrent, unstoppable. I spoke to her about the gradual deterioration of my relationship with Adam, his increasing coldness, his attacks of cruelty. Then I told her about this fateful day, our romantic getaway which had turned into a nightmare. As I spoke, I saw Clara's face change from surprise to horror to anger. "That bastard," she hissed through her teeth. "Hannah, you need to go to the police. He tried to kill you." I shook my head. "No, not yet. Adam thinks I'm dead. That's our advantage for now." Clara looked at me, perplexed. "What do you mean?" I stood up and began pacing around the small room, ignoring the pain that radiated throughout my body. "If we go to the police now, it will be my word against his. He will say it was an accident, that I slipped. And who will they believe? The grieving husband or the wife miraculously returned from among the dead?" Clara frowned. "But you can't let him get away with this." "I have no intention of letting him get away with this," I replied, a new determination in my voice. "But I want to do it right. I want him to pay for what he did, and for that, I need proof." I stopped walking and looked Clara straight in the eyes. "I need your help, Clara. I need to disappear for a while. Adam must not know that I am alive. In the meantime, I will gather everything I can against him." Clara looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "Okay, what can I do?" A feeling of relief came over me. Having Clara by my side changed everything. "First, I need a place to stay, a place where Adam will never think to look for me." Clara thought for a moment. "My aunt has a small house in a village in Auvergne. She almost never uses it. I'm sure she will agree to lend it to you if I explain to her that you need a quiet place to recover from a, let's say, burnout." I nodded, grateful. "That would be perfect. Then I'll need you to collect some things for me from the apartment: clothes, my laptop, important documents. But you'll have to be discreet. Adam must not suspect anything." Clara took my hand in hers. "Don't worry, I'll take care of it. We'll make him pay, Hannah, I promise." That night, lying in the hotel bed, I couldn't sleep. My mind was spinning, constantly replaying the events of the day. I saw Adam's face again, his cold eyes when he had pushed me. How could I have been so blind? How had I not seen the darkness that hid behind his charm? But amid this storm of emotions, one thing was clear. I could no longer be the woman I had been. The sweet and naive Hannah had died in the tumultuous waters of the Harrison waterfalls. In her place was born a stronger, more determined woman. The next morning, Clara and I set off for Auvergne. The journey was long and silent. I watched the landscapes pass by the window, trying to imagine the life that awaited me. How was I going to rebuild everything Adam had destroyed? Clara's aunt's house was in a small village called Saint Nectaire, nestled in the heart of the Auvergne Volcanoes Regional Natural Park. It was an old stone building with a slate roof and blue shutters. The place was picturesque, far from anything I had ever known. "This is where you will be able to rebuild yourself," Clara said to me, handing me the keys. "No one will come looking for you here." I hugged her, grateful for everything she did for me. "Thank you, Clara. I don't know what I would do without you." "You're stronger than you think, Hannah. You'll get through this, I'm sure." After Clara left, I found myself alone in this unknown house. The silence was deafening. For the first time since my fall, I allowed myself to really cry. I cried for the life I had lost, for the love that had proven to be a lie, for the broken trust. But in the midst of my tears, I felt something growing inside me, determination and will. Adam may have tried to destroy me, but he had failed. I was still here, and I was going to fight. The following days were difficult. Every movement reminded me of my fall, every sudden noise made me jump. But little by little, I began to regain control. I spent my days planning, thinking about my next step. Clara brought me my computer, and some things from the apartment. She informed me that Adam had reported me missing to the police, playing the role of the worried husband perfectly. The thought revolted me, but I knew I had to stay calm. Patience would be my best ally. I began to gather evidence. I searched through my emails, my messages, looking for anything that might show Adam's true nature. I found photos of bruises that he had given me, and that I had hidden out of shame. I compiled accounts of times he humiliated me in public, disguising his cruelty as jokes. Each day that passed strengthened my resolve. I was no longer the victim, I was a survivor, and I was going to make Adam pay for what he did. One morning, while I was having my coffee on the small terrace of the house, an idea came to me. Adam thought he killed me, but he didn't know that I was plotting his downfall. The thought made me smile for the first time in weeks. I took out my phone and called Clara. "I need you to put me in touch with a lawyer," I told her, "a lawyer specializing in domestic violence cases." "Are you sure?" Clara asked, surprised by my determined tone. "More than ever," I replied. "It's time for action. Adam thinks he's won, but the game has only just begun." As I hung up, I felt a wave of adrenaline rush through me. The fear was still there, lurking somewhere deep inside me, but it no longer controlled me. I was ready to face what lay ahead. That evening, sitting at my computer, I began to write my story. Every word I typed felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I recounted everything: the beginnings of our relationship, the slow descent into hell, the psychological violence, and finally, the attempted murder disguised as an accident. It was painful, but it was also liberating. For the first time, I saw clearly everything I had been through, and I realized that despite everything, I was still here, I had survived. The fight for survival was just beginning, but for the first time in a long time, I felt alive, truly alive. Adam had wanted to silence me, but he had failed, and now it was my turn to speak. The days passed slowly in the little house of Saint Nectaire. Every morning, I woke up with the same determination to make Adam pay for what he had done to me. But I knew that to achieve this, I had to be patient and methodical. I couldn't afford to make any mistakes. One morning, while I was having my coffee on the terrace, watching the sun rise over the volcanoes of Auvergne, my phone vibrated. It was Clara. "Hannah, I have good news. I found a lawyer who is willing to meet with you. He specializes in domestic violence cases." My heart leapt in my chest.